time that they have to do other things in life besides work.
We are going in a downwardly mobile direction. Americans have been since 1973. But what I think is it's not such a tragedy. I think people ought to embrace it and see the positive value of it and see that, you know, simple living is a better way to live.
It seems that many Americans are starting to agree. The idea of downshifting has been gaining popularity recently. A poll conducted for the Hilton hotel chain found that just over half of all Americans, and 70% of those earning more than $30,000 a year, say that they would trade a day's pay for a day off work each week. Several other opinion surveys have reached similar conclusions. A 1990 Roper poll found that for the first time in 15 years, leisure time topped work as the most important thing for Americans.
People want more leisure time, even if it means less money at the workplace, even if it means sacrificing some part of their career goals. They want to spend more time at home with community. They want to smell the roses.
Well, we should see what's coming up, because next week we're also going to be faced with this too, so we might have some other problems.
Are we next week too?
No, but Sally is, and we're going to have to.
We're going to have to get it together for her.
Seattle Times reporter Carol Ostrom and two of her colleagues found a way to downshift without giving up their careers. It's called job sharing.
Okay. I think all of us felt like we just didn't have enough time in our lives. I had a contract for a book, I had a relationship I was trying to keep going, and I had a stressful job, and I just said, something's got to break. I started thinking of all the things that could go, and working less seemed to be the answer. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Carol and her colleagues were unsuccessful the first time they asked if the three of them could share 2 jobs.
They thought it was a horrible idea, and one female supervisor was very negative about it. We tried it again about a year and a half later, and this time it was accepted on a provisional basis. They said, we'll give it a try. Lots of stuff was built in that they could just exit, with a minute's notice.
The 3 reporters each work 4 months full-time and get 2 months off on a rotating basis. For Carol, it means the opportunity to take better care of her mother.
Did you enjoy the books?
Oh, yes, especially the one about Truman.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
I like that a lot.
Let's see your list. My mom keeps saying, what would I do without you? What would I do without you? And they don't really have any good answers. I'm not sure. She's 85 years old and she's very independent, but, things are just not working as well as they used to. Bring your list. In my life, generally, I can take care of the things, and my relationship is working better, and I have time to think, and that's probably the most important thing. While I'm off, I read the newspaper, I read the New York Times, I read magazines, I can think about story ideas. I think it makes us smarter reporters and smarter writers.
These reporters have really made a commitment to it so that I feel we get more work, more production, more energy out of them in the window that they're here than we might a reporter who's here 12 months a year. At first I was very skeptical about it, but I couldn't be happier with how it's working now. I really feel that these are some of our very best and most productive reporters.
Though few have initiated job sharing, some corporate executives are recognizing, however belatedly, the time pressures that workers feel.
We have to give the individual the ability to live a full and beneficial life. We can't break down the family further. The family is being lost, and you see tremendous cost to the society as a whole. Failure to train our children, failure for parents to have time to leave work and go to critical events with their children. And business has got to recognize that a downtrodden employee is not a benefit.
But if the record of the last few years is any indication, that recognition is far from widespread. During the most recent recession, many companies demanded more overtime from some employees while laying off thousands of others. Despite rising unemployment, the use of overtime recently rose to its highest level ever. In fact, an AFL-CIO study came to a startling conclusion, that if hours of overtime were simply reduced to the levels of 1982, 3 million new jobs could be created.
So what we basically have in this country right now is many people working many more hours than they would really prefer to work. They'd like to spend that time with their families, taking some vacation time, that sort of thing, or perhaps even getting some further in their education, or just simply enjoying leisure. While many other people are suffering, serious deprivation because they can't find jobs, or they're having to take part-time jobs because full-time jobs are not available.
Lots of people under the age of 30 assume that the 40-hour work week came from the same place that water comes from. It's always been there. It's always been that way.
They call themselves the Boston Shorter Hours Working Group, and they hope to be a catalyst for new legislation that would officially reduce the American work week for the first time since 1938.
Actually, we first got together to talk about our own lives and kind of a support group about working less hard and setting sort of a better example than the way we were living our lives. And then we started talking together about what we could actually do and what a group could do, or what people together could do to not just pull back from work a little bit in their own lives, but to make it possible for everybody to do that.
What does it mean to have, the pursuit of life and liberty if you only have time to go to work and do your shopping and your laundry?
What are the consequences of nobody having time for kids?
Yeah.
They go from overworked parents to overworked daycare workers and back again with nobody basically able to pay attention.
This is related to everything from teenage pregnancy to SAT scores.
There's something about this country that we pride ourselves on, the money that we have available and the power of our technology and the power of our businesses and the amount of material goods that we have. But we've lost a sense of perspective about human life, about what we do with our lives, about how we experience our lives. And the fact that all we can hold up as models for how it should be our countries that keep working their people harder and just simply producing more and do not necessarily have a better quality of life, where it really reveals that our country is suffering from a deep inner sickness, and we need a lot of self-searching about what really is life all about.
We started reading our history and thought, well, working people have managed to pass laws before that limited the amount of work hours. And we thought it was time to really start a movement that would pass shorter work time legislation again in this country. And there's probably other things that we need that we haven't even been bold enough to think of or offer yet. But sabbaticals every 7 years. People in academia have it. They recharge their batteries. A couple of enlightened employers talk about it now. I mean, for workers, not just for professionals.
I would certainly be willing to wager that when folks first started talking about the 40-hour work week, the same kind of arguments that we are hearing against shorter work time now are the kind of arguments that were used then. People will lose their jobs, business will never go for it, it isn't going to work, it's going to cost too much. None of those things turned out to be true.
That message has at least one supporter in Congress.
I believe that we have to create jobs by reducing the work week, by reducing overtime, by stopping forced overtime, and by making sure that when we hire a person, we give them a livable wage. And in my opinion, America's not doing that.
A very important step is to raise wages for the lowest paid workers in the economy, because there are many workers in this economy who have to work very, very long hours just because their hourly wages are so low, and that shorter hours are not possible for those people until their wages are increased.
Thank you. Instructions on the back for what to do with it after you've
A shorter work week is one legislative possibility, but not the only one.
Vacation petition?
During the 1992 election, San Francisco lawyer Richard Such ran an unusual political campaign. He tried to get enough signatures to put a measure on the California ballot that would have required 6 weeks vacation for all workers.
Yeah, there you go. First began to be bothered by the fact that we have so little vacation time when I read about the European scheme, and in particular the fact that all German workers have at least a 6-week vacation every year. I think maybe my national pride was aroused and began to feel, well, if those countries, and Germany in particular, can have it, why can't we? Want a copy of the petition?
With no money for television and no support from business, Such failed to collect the required number of signatures. But his campaign for more leisure did attract considerable interest from time-pressured citizens.
Certainly a number of people have written to me and said 6 weeks vacation with pay is a great idea, but we'd be happy to have 6 weeks vacation without pay if we could just have some more time off work. It's time that we took a step backwards and began to enjoy the fruits of all this labor. Like a copy of the 6-week vacation?
That's what the Germans have been doing for many years now. This is Regensburg, a picture book Bavarian city that's home to one of the world's most modern automobile factories. Employees at BMW Regensburg put in a 36-hour work week. That's typical of German workers. They also enjoy 30 days of vacation and numerous other holidays. We got this footage of the Regensburg BMW assembly line from the company, because when we were in town, the plant was closed for a Bavarian holiday called Whit Week. Company spokesman Rudolf Ebner met us at his home, where he and his family were also enjoying the time off.
Our workers have to work 400 hours less than American workers in the average of a year. And they enjoy to have more time for families, for hobbies, sports, to build houses or gardens, something like that. They enjoy it.
Diana Orlet is a file clerk at the Schering Company, a large chemical firm in Berlin. Like American postal worker Angela Walrond, she's a single mother, but she experiences just a trifle of the time pressure facing Angela.
Zwischen 8 und 8:45 Uhr an zu arbeiten in meinem Büro.
I start working sometime between 8 and 8:45 and work for 6 hours. Then I go home around 2 p.m. and the rest of my day is filled with taking care of the house and grocery shopping. And I also have lots of hobbies: sports, aerobics, riding my bike a lot with my son, going to movies, reading and learning other languages. The nicest thing is that I get as much vacation time as a full-time employee, 31 days a year.
Diana also earns enough to live comfortably on just 6 hours of work a day. And she gets full benefits, which in Germany come from the government, not the employer.
Mit der Versicherung ist es so, dass die Krankenkasse hier
The
eigentlich
state insurance agency takes care of everything: Social Security, unemployment, health care.
etc. Job wirklich sehr zufrieden.
I'm really satisfied with my job. If I could, I'd probably even work longer hours. But I work less because I need time for my child and for myself. That's important too.
Für mein Kind habe und für mich. Ist auch ganz wichtig.
There is pride in the work here, and you can see that in what's produced. But work is very much a place where one gathers the material and money to do something else. Work is not an end in itself.
By 1995, the German work week will be only 35 hours long. And a recent agreement between employers and Germany's largest union will mean still fewer hours in the future, though with somewhat lower wages. Polls say Americans would trade money for time if they could. Germans are doing it.
We have to take this issue seriously now, and we have to begin a national debate, and we have to intervene in the market process to ensure that people get free time.
Should we reduce working hours? Doing so would obviously be costly. Yet can't we offer Angela Walrond what Germany provides for Diana Orlet? And what are the costs of our current epidemic of time pressure and overwork? Declining health, splintered families, delinquency, depression, inadequate learning, industrial accidents, tired and weakened communities, rising unemployment.
Benjamin Franklin once said that time is money. Well, for many Americans, time is a good deal more precious than money these days. Time, after all, cannot be created or invested. What may be possible, though, is a little sensible trading to put the time we need to live our lives ahead of more money or more things. I'm Scott Simon, and thank you for giving us more than a few moments of your time.
Life holds
such promise. I wish I had it all if I only had the time. I'd love you more.